while it just counts down. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar from Anicca Digital. I'm very pleased to bring Sukh back again. He's head of SEO. Good morning, Sukh. Hope you're well.
Good morning.
It's Friday.
Hi, guys. Happy Friday.
Sukh's going to be talking on a beginner's guide to optimizing content for SEO. Now, while we're waiting for a few more people to join us, what we're going to do is we're going to run a poll. Also, you should be able to get the handouts. So if you go top right, you should be able to see the handouts there. So please let me know if you've managed to get the handout. I think Hannah has already. And if any of you've got any questions as we're going along, stick them in the Q&A. I'm going to read the poll out because then it appears in the recording, which we will be sending out later on. So my question for you this morning is nice and simple. Are you responsible for creating content or SEO for your website? And you've got a choice of answers here. So my first one is, no, I'm just learning, or we do not have a website yet. No, it's somebody else's responsibility, but I want to understand what that involves. I occasionally write web content as part of my role and want to understand SEO a little bit better. And then the final one is I regularly produce content for the website and for SEO, but I want to learn some new tricks. So at the moment, the most popular one is I occasionally write web content as part of my role, and I want to understand SEO a little bit better. Lots of people have come from a content background, whether it's PR or writing emails, and they suddenly get the job of having to do SEO and don't really understand anything about it. So you're definitely in the right place. There's quite a few of you, about a third of people who regularly produce content, but want to learn a few new tricks. So hopefully Sukh will be able to help there. So I'm gonna turn off my mic and pass over to Sukh, and I'll rejoin at the end, and I'll try and answer any questions. So over to you, Sukh.
Awesome. Thanks, Anne. Yeah, hi, guys. Let me turn chat on again. Yeah, thanks for joining us. So interesting poll answers. I touched on a lot of stuff in this slide deck. So what I've done is I've put a few things in the appendix relating to kind of the next steps from the optimization things I show. So that's for you people that are regularly producing content and have SEO in mind. So that should tick that box. And then obviously some Q&A during and after I can answer some other more detailed questions. So we just go to, so that's the content. So we'll just go through that as you can see, I've tried to stuff a lot in the slide deck. So just quickly about me, I've been at Anicca for about 6 and a bit years. Head up the SEO department. I've been in SEO for about 11-ish years, doing various parts of between technical and overall SEO and international SEO work. I was a web developer before that, straight out of uni for about 3 years. And as part of head of SEO, I do obviously kind of department running stuff and business development, all that. But my client work is basically focused on the larger SEO clients, particularly technical SEO, like international website setups, website migrations, and just working with my colleagues in the team to create kind of the overall SEO content strategies. And I'm annoying on Instagram, as you can see. I'm one of those Fitbit sharers that just share their daily updates on Instagram to annoy people, but mostly to keep myself motivated or shamed. These are some of the clients we've been fortunate enough to work with. Some of the brands you'll recognize straight away. Some of them you might not, but they're equally kind of well established in their industries, and they span kind of various channels that we offer. You know, PPC, SEO, paid social, PR. So yeah, they're just some of the brands we work with. So I'll just jump right in, and excuse me if I'm quick over some of the slides because some of them don't need a lot of explaining. So I thought I'd start with what is content. So since we're talking about how content can be used to boost your SEO, the way that's optimized and written, I thought I'd take a step back and look at content overall. So content is obviously, and I'm obviously telling you guys some stuff you already know, it can be obviously memes, social media, videos, landing pages for content, Instagram. This is one account that I follow called Doug the Pug. Pretty addictive, so you're welcome. And what can content do for us? So obviously it can promote advocacy and be a key part of the conversion funnel, and create some exposure for you for in publications for PR and link building, and it can build your audience, which you can then leverage to remarket to them and do emails and build more advocacy and brand advocates on their side. But speaking specifically about SEO content and what that can do for us then. So for SEO content, you can basically rank keywords and drive a good click-through rate from Google or Bing or whichever search engine is relevant to your market or more prominent. So we're talking about ranking relevant keywords that harness people's specific search intent. Basically I see this as a kind of a 2-for-1 job. When we do our optimization, we define specifically what the user search intents are, audiences, and then we carefully kind of choose keywords that we know people are searching for, that they will want a specific result, and that result is basically our content, specific type of content, be it a blog or a straightforward answer to a question or a specific landing page that we need to get people converting, doing some kind of conversion on. Obviously drive traffic to our site. The click-through rate side of this work is basically the way we write our content, specifically title and meta tags, which I'll go into later. And also, as you can see in that example, that is what we call a position 0 or rich snippet result, which is straightforward answer to a question in a structure that entices the user to click to read more of the rest of the answers as well. Something like that would be more effective if there was a number of steps as well, with more steps ... at the bottom to encourage you. But that's pretty much one of the things that we will go into later as well. Gain links and citations from external websites pointing to yours. So these are the votes of confidence that Google considers when it's thinking about whether to rank you above a competitor or not. So does this website consider you a worthwhile resource? If they do, they will link to you or cite you in their text. They might mention the brand name and a product or service name. That's what we call a citation. And citations, according to Google, are second best to actual hyperlinks pointing to your site. So these are key outcomes we want from our content. Obviously, social media coverage, which expands, amplifies a lot of our referral traffic potential. And also you can funnel traffic to a specific page as well. So another key part of our SEO work involves optimizing long tail keywords or broader kind of topics related to the main topic of a service or a product category, where we can't optimize that on the actual category page, but we can do them in a series of blog posts, and we kind of call them a topic group of content, where we drive all this traffic to those pages with the intention of serving information to users, but also funneling some interest with call to actions back to a service or product or category page. So basically getting leads through the back door back into the conversion funnel. So this is another really powerful thing we can do with SEO content. And obviously pushing traffic to a specific landing page for some kind of conversion, be it sending an inquiry, downloading a PDF, registering their email and details for remarketing purposes, sales, etc. So another step back topic I'll look at is the actual nature of SEO, and then relate that back to the content we're looking at. So within SEO, we can break this down into 3 different elements. So we can call them technical SEO, on-page, and off-page SEO. So just briefly, technical SEO focuses more on enabling your content to actually get crawled and indexed by Google, and then shown to the users when they search for a particular keyword. So that process, for the most part, is facilitating getting eyes on your content, but also it's focused on user experience. So, how fast is your page loading? Does your landing page show well on desktop, tablet, and mobile devices? It considers other ranking factors as well, like do you have duplicate or original content on your pages? So we basically do a thorough technical SEO audit at the start of every campaign, because you would often find technical fixes can be relatively quick as opposed to content fixes, which can be manual and kind of long term. So those are the first things to get out of the way. And then we look at on-page SEO, which is what this whole thing is focused on, this talk. So on-page is focused on literally the words and media, rich media on the pages, the depth of the content that I discussed in the topic, and basically, how much content do we have on these pages? Again, how the tags are written, are they missing heading tags, things like that. This is the easiest to fix if you've got access to your content management system, because you tend to not need a developer for the most part for this. You're basically editing and adding text to a website as you would in a Word doc. And so this is the most powerful kind of thing you can look at and save money on in terms of actioning SEO things for yourself outside of a developer. And then off-page SEO is focused on, like I was saying earlier, getting these votes of confidence to your site and monitoring these votes of confidence. So, you might have comments on forums or reviews that might be good or bad. And if they are bad, for example, you can basically monitor them and be a recognized, member of your team, where you would answer people's queries and address issues and things. And so you can manage reputation as well as building and earning backlinks to your site leveraging the content. So we'll go into that a bit more later as well. And just quickly, why is SEO content important? So I thought I'd just briefly and top level wise break down the process of Google finding your pages through to displaying it to users. So the first step out of 4 for Google finding your pages, basically it uses a spider or a Google bot, which is specifically for Google. It's a program that basically discovers websites, follows all the links in your site, and discovers all the pages. So that's the discovery part of that process. And then what it does once it discovers them is it decides whether to store your pages or not. And the storing process is called indexation or indexing. So it will basically look at the content and make a quick decision. Is this content original? Is it duplicating another page? Do I need to index this page and ignore this page, or just ignore all of it? So it makes that quick decision, and then it's stored the pages. And then upon storing it, it's waiting for users to basically type in a keyword in Google, and then it will make a decision whether to serve your pages to answer that question, if you like, or competitors. So it's using the algorithm stage with that cog to decide, how well does this page shape up versus a competing page? Does it load quickly? Is the content spot on, or is it wishy-washy? Do they have any authority on this topic, etc.? And then it serves the results on that last stage there. And so that's kind of briefly how that stage works. And within that, content fits, I think, right from the start. I think it has a key part in each of these stages, but more so in the algorithm stage, where it looks at the quality of the content and, how, whether to serve it initially as a answer to the query or not. Another thing to consider as well, because we're looking at SEO content, but content it's a key part of SEO, but it's one. And if I take another step back, these parts of SEO, we can look at them as ranking factors. So I've already mentioned backlinks and topic authority, but as ranking factors, these are factors based on studies. You can see a link below to one of them. Google is considering when it's making its decision whether to rank you or not. So it's saying, how many backlinks does it have, or rather, how many high quality backlinks and authoritative backlinks does it have? Is the content fresh? Is it up to date? Does the sitemap indicate that this page was updated on X date or not? That's more relevant for blog posts rather than service pages and categories. Authority. Do you have the authority to talk about this topic? So what is your content depth on these topics? Do you have author tags? Do you have author bios? Do your authors link off to LinkedIn pages? Have you got company reviews? Do you match a search intent? Again, so, looking at your audience, if they've asked a simple question, do you answer it straight away, or do you break it all down in a long bit of text, which you think is SEO friendly, but it isn't? Page speed, does a page load quickly? Is the page secure? Do you have the little HTTPS bit at the start of your URL address with the padlock thing in Chrome? Is it friendly for mobile devices? User experience overall. Is the navigation user friendly? Does the page have, high bounce rate, high time on page, low time on page, etc.? And content accuracy. is your content accurate, particularly if you're talking about things like medical related topics? You know, do you cite official medical resource and link off to those pages? How accurate is your data versus a competition data? So yeah, these are all ranking factors that Google balances, and we balance out as well in the SEO team when we look at and diagnose a page and say, okay, how do we get this page ranking above a competitor? What have they got going on that we don't, and vice versa? Oh, their page loads quickly, they've got more authoritative backlinks, the depth of their content is like immense. You know, they've got a lot of facts and stuff, and you know, they're linking off to official places. It's friendly on mobile, etc. So we're not just looking at content per se, we're looking at the bigger picture, but content fits in with a lot of these ranking factors and a lot of these decisions, so it is a key part of all of this. So again, I've just got some examples on SEO content, and obviously they're self-promotional, although I would like this position to be a bit higher, but I am working on it. So an example of a service page is from typing in a keyword to seeing a result and then seeing what the content's actually doing on this page. So I've typed in digital marketing agency Leicester, and I can see that position we're in with the title tag and meta description feeding through as the linkable, clickable headline text, and the text below that, the byline text. And then you can see some of that content highlighted within the description there, matching the search intent. And then that indicates to the user in a split second, this contains content that I searched for. The query is in there somewhere. And you click onto the page and you can see, you know, I've got a heading 1 H1 tag that includes part of the keyword, and then the content includes part of the keyword as well. So you can quickly see how the method of creating content through to ranking kind of works in this example. And then some prominent call to actions we've added there because we don't want to faff around. You've got the above the fold bit of text there and said, do you want sales? Do you want leads? Or they can scroll down to see some more of our case studies and whatnot. And then blog posts, another form of content that's really good for ranking. In this example, we've got something I mentioned earlier, which is a rich snippet or position 0 result. So these results are great because they use the Google real estate right at the top there above the fold. So there's nothing else before this, and you're essentially answering someone's question quickly. In this case, you've got a PPC management cost in the UK. So we've got a really good high-performing blog on this that we update regularly. It's been ranking for a number of years. So PPC team, I've smashed it on this, and they basically, so the way that they've written this allows this blog to be served up in a rich snippet. And also when you click through to the page, there's a recent, relatively recently, last month or two, Google Chrome highlights text that relates to your search query, so and it jumps to it. So you might have noticed jump links on other blogs where you click on a little submenu and it jumps to the bottom of a page. So Chrome has allowed this ability to jump straight to that section, so a user doesn't have to scroll all the way down, and they'll see this relates the most to that user's search query. So this is really powerful. And again, this is something that we optimize for in SEO. Yeah, so that's just explaining what I just said on that. So I'm just going to go into how bit of optimizing content, and I've got a few more examples in here as well. So again, we like to take a lot of step backs and strategize this before we do it. So when we think about optimizing content first, the main two questions we ask is who's your audience and what are your keywords. So starting with the audience question, we look at, we try to do, you know, depending on how much time we have in a campaign, how much data is available, define some personas and, you know, speak with our clients and figure out who is your audience, you know, based on your experience, based on your Google Analytics and LinkedIn, Facebook data, etc., and your CRM data, if you have a CRM, you know, who's searching for you, who's purchasing from you, you know, what kind of personas are they, and write down to some rough kind of demographic data as well, and what kind of keywords can we attribute to these types of people. You know, are there people that are using more experienced keyword searches, they know what they want? Are there people that are uneducated and need a bit of education with broader keywords, maybe some long tail keywords and informational content? So we try and figure that out from the start. You don't need to do super detailed research around that area. You can do a data-driven research, or based on a client's years of experience, they can just feedback on what they think, and then we can just take it from there. And then from that point, we've got a good idea of what kind of keywords we need to search for and list for the content. So again, talking about SEO content, I'm talking about landing pages like service pages, product categories, product pages, as well as blog posts, informational stuff like case studies and other supporting content. So I'm using my audience data, my information from the client, and any like salespeople or other people in their team, and then we're finding keywords that we need, that people are searching for. So within the keywords, one of the metrics I look at is search volume, so the average amount of people searching each month. So with these very different examples of keywords, I've got a high number of search volumes for dog jumpers and then cat jumpers, which is weird. That one is really higher than the other. And then on the other example, you've got kind of more e-commerce type of keywords with dining chairs, etc., etc. They're a bit broad. That's why the search volume is super high, into like 74,000. But the point of this exercise is basically we want as many people searching for these keywords as possible. But again, we want these keywords as relevant as possible as well. So you can use free tools to research keywords. And again, it could just be a blog post that you're writing where you need to find, okay, while I'm writing this super user-friendly and topical blog post that we think will result in some kind of conversion, let's kind of facilitate the step back from that, which is how are people going to get to this post in Google? So you could do some quick keyword research using free tools like Neil Patel's Ubersuggest, or there are premium tools like SEO Monitor, which is what we use, and SEMrush, which is what we've also started to use. Both powerful tools that help you do keyword research and give you search volumes and keyword ideas, competitor ideas, etc. When you find keywords and you're trying to assign them to pages, I would basically use common sense in terms of, if you've got, say, 100 words, then you're likely not going to be able to fit 5 or 6 keywords effectively within that, especially if they're really different keywords and you can't kind of combine them in sentences. So I just basically think like a human and think, okay, how can I naturally fit these keywords in? And I've got a kind of a rough guide of, say, like 2 keywords every 100 words, but really it's dependent on your judgment and it's a case-by-case basis on the piece. That's an example of me listing keywords in a table based on a priority or grouping number. So in that example, I've got, for example, women's ankle boots, ladies' ankle boots. They have high search volumes. So I've added priority 1 to the most search volume phrase right at the top there, and then priority 2 for ladies' ankle boots. And then the following 2 are variations of the top 2. So I've just added the same kind of grouping. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. This kind of informs us when we're writing the content. I can kind of combine these 2 keywords together, and so basically, if I mention one, try to mention the other in a longer tail version of that keyword in that sentence. So I'll show you an example of that in a bit. When you're doing keyword research as well, as I said, think about your search intent. So I've got another slide deck I did before this on specifically on keyword research, where I talk about search intent in detail and different types of keywords. So I'll show you that in the next slide. You can download that from Big Marker. But essentially, you could divide search intent into navigational, informational, and transactional. So navigational, we would look at keywords like Whistler ski holidays. This is another example. I've had to combine slides and they've had different examples, so apologies. So this is someone finding they want a page that discusses a specific thing that they want to consider, a service or product, etc. Versus informational, which is what I was saying earlier, is one of those kind of backdoor conversion funnel type of routes. Sorry. Got a little notification I need to get rid of. Go away. Informational. So best ski resort in whatever region. So this is more suitable for like blogs, case studies, really detailed long form pieces maybe, or just quick FAQ kind of answers. That could be a rich snippet, what I mentioned earlier. Or transactional, which is basically, I want to book a holiday at this destination now, or I want to buy a 4K TV, 50-inch 4K TV, Leicester. I want to pick it up today. So I'll try to categorize your keywords as much as possible into kind of search intent, because then you've got that on a spreadsheet and it helps you, informs you when you're writing content later. So more on writing like a human. Try to use variations of keywords in your content as well. So you've got exact match keywords that could be things like sofas or ski holidays. So they're super broad, top level, high search volume likely, and we call them head terms or top level terms. Have high search volume, but they're typically really competitive. So if you have a lot of authority on your website, you're likely going to rank for them. But if you don't, which is most kind of people, then you'll need to be a bit more, broader and use long tail keywords or variations. So the other point is, in this example, I'm talking about sofas. So a variation of that would be leather sofas, settee, couch, etc. So you're just thinking about variations of keywords that you can match the same search intent, but if you think about how you search for keywords yourself, you might use different keywords at different times for the same thing. So I will just refer back to yourself and just think generally in terms of common sense. What are these different variations I can use in my keywords? And the other type of keyword, which is similar, is related to latent semantic indexing, which is basically, in a brief kind of statement, is how Google connects the meaning between people, places, and things. So basically, if you were to search for Barack Obama's wife, it will show Michelle Obama. So you can basically search for abstract sounding keywords, and Google will know based on its AI algorithm what you actually mean. So if you think about the core nature of Google, which is basically to make it as useful as possible to users, so you keep using it and it keeps serving their ad platform and making money on that, and basically it sounds a bit dark, keep collecting data and all these kind of things, right? It's in their best interest to make the product as useful as possible and user-friendly. So that means answering your question as best as possible. And they're doing a shed load of work on AI, and the AI is learning every minute and every second on how to better serve your answers to you. So if you think about that, then you can think, okay, I need to help out by using all these different variations, because I think other people would be searching for different meanings of this keyword. So yeah, and that slide deck I did before was on SEO tasks, although that's actually, no, that's the wrong image. It's keyword research. So if you click on that link, actually, you'll find the right deck, and it has got keyword research in there. Don't know why I added that image in there. Wrong one. So you've found your keywords, you've got your search intent pretty much locked down, and you know what people are searching for and how you're going to roughly optimize it. So now you want to basically match those keywords you found to pages that they should be optimized on. So this is an example of a page plan format we use, where we list our target pages that we basically want to drive traffic to. So in this example, we've got a top level category page for a product, 4K LED TVs. We've identified that the keywords we've matched to this page specifically are transactional. So LED TVs, cheap 4K TV sale, 50-inch 4K TVs, high search volume, medium difficulty to rank, and relatively low cost per click. So these are metrics you can get from a few free tools, but mostly premium tools like SEMrush and SEO Monitor and Moz. They're very useful tools to use for these kind of metrics to make you allow you to make a decision whether to use them or not. And then the other page, I've got a blog post relating to 4K TVs, and it's a guide. I guess it's a buying guide. And these keywords we identified as informational. So the broader topic categorization is 4K TVs blog. This is mostly to help you categorize all your keywords on your end. And then the keywords are pretty much self-explanatory. Search volume is slightly low for one of them and high for the other. But the point of these keywords is you use them to basically educate users, and there's the education part of the sales funnel where this will come really useful, and people typically link off to supporting blogs like this on a service page where people aren't ready to make a decision and they want to see a comparison of products or whatever. Might likely click on this from the site, or they go directly from this page from Google, and then they're convinced, oh, this is the TV I want, and there's a call to action to the product page. Perfect, let me go there and then buy it. So this is kind of how these two types of keywords work within a conversion funnel. And this will help you, mapping these keywords to a sheet helps you when you actually get to optimize these pages. So in terms of now talking about optimizing a page for content for SEO, we would usually start with optimizing title and meta tags. But before that, I just wanted to quickly show kind of how a page is built up in terms of SEO elements. So looking at an anatomy of a web page, we can look at a title tag to start with, which is basically the headline tag that you see in a search result. It's the clickable link, for those of you who aren't familiar. And that tag can help you improve your click-through rate by including keyword mentions in there, some form of call to action or a brand mention, and it's a quick way for someone to scan and see if they want to click through to the result page. Title tags are ranking factors in that if you put a keyword in there, Google will consider it like as a topic indication. So if I was to put 4K TVs in that title tag, it'll say, oh, this page is trying to talk about 4K. It's trying to rank 4K TVs as a keyword, so I'll consider that. And then you've got the URL, which I guess for the most part, if you're on an e-commerce site, you don't control on the product level, but on the category level you can. But if you do control your URL, you can make that keyword friendly, but I would lead with user experience over stuffing keywords in there. So I'd make it as user friendly as possible, your URL name. So it's something like /4K TVs or something. So again, the user can make a quick decision if they see it in the search result, oh, this is about 4K TVs, click on that. And then where possible, if you've got a keyword you can put in there, I would put that in there as well. It's debatable whether URLs are still a ranking factor. They used to be, but I always try to put them in anyway, just in case. And then you've got a meta description. So again, that's the longer form bit of text at the bottom of that result there. And it's good to include keywords in there because they get highlighted in bold in the search result when someone searches for them keywords. And it's another quick indication, yep, that's discussing what I was searching for. I'll click on that. They're not ranking factors in that Google won't see the keywords in there and consider ranking it based on that, because there's so much like character count you've got in there. They can get abused, and they were abused back in the day, stuffing loads of keywords in there. But they're mostly for user experience. But that's good because, again, we're trying to optimize for click-through rate while we're doing the SEO bits of the content as well. So I'd still mention keywords in there, but try and also mention, unique selling points and a call to action in there at the start or at the end. And then the second part of an optimized page is basically looking at body content. Or actually, before I get to that, heading tags. So typically, before you optimize your body content, within that, you've got your heading tags. And specifically, I'm looking at H1 heading tags. So heading tags come in, H1, H2, H3, up to H6, H7, I think. They're different priority headlines and stuff. Like you would do in a Word document, it allows you to select H1 or whatever. So it's basically, there's a hierarchy of headlines, and, using common sense in that. If you're talking about a top level topic on a page and that, you would mention that topic in a H1 tag. That's important for SEO and for Google, because it will look at your title tag, see what keyword you're mentioning in there, and then it will match that with your H1 tag and see if you're also mentioning that topic or keyword in there. And then combining them to it kind of starts the decision process. Oh, they're talking about this topic. Now let me look at body content. So in body content, are you mentioning the topic throughout there? Yes, no. Have you got subheadings like H2 and H3s, which mention the topic as well, or subtopics? And then have you got images and links that also mention the topic? I say mention because you've got tags for images where you can add text to mention what's going on in the image as well. So these are kind of roughly the main elements of an optimized web page. And then within this, you've got, just expand this so I can read it fully. So looking at a specific page then, and starting with title and meta tags again, obviously you're trying to hit two birds with one stone, trying to get it ranking, but also get people clicking through from Google while improving the click-through rate, right? So the first point I've got is try to write engaging text and include high priority keywords, call to actions, unique selling points, and brand mentions where possible. So where possible bit is basically using your judgment at the time. Your first priority is making it as user-friendly as possible so it reads well. And then you're looking at adding in content for keywords for ranking and call to actions, etc. When you're adding keywords in the title and meta tags, try to combine keywords as much as possible. So if you've got a top level keyword like ski holidays, and then you've got ski holidays in Whistler, or snowboards for ski holidays or something like that, you could basically combine 2 or 3 keywords in one sentence, and then you can add that as your title tag in your meta description and your H1 tag. So you can be clever with your keyword optimization. It doesn't have to be separate and stringent like keyword dash keyword dash keyword. That doesn't read kind of natural. Ensure you don't exceed character counts as well. And slight typo in there, apologies. So I'll go into character counts for title tags and meta tags. So these character counts are basically based on how much Google can display your words on desktop results and mobile results. So there's slightly different character limits, and you'll notice that when you search for things on your mobile and you might see a ... where the title or meta kind of cuts off, that's because someone's written more characters than what can be displayed in that space. So it's literally just space that Google's using and saying, yeah, this is going to get cut off at this point, so you might want to limit your words. So for mobile character limits, the title tag will display up to 78 characters, thereabouts. This is current figures. And then for meta descriptions, so that's a little byline at the end of that, below that, it displays up to 120 characters. So when we write our titles and metas, we keep this in mind, and we try to include the most important information within the first 120 characters for the meta description. But I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Desktop character counts for title tags is between 40 and 59 characters. So if you go above, 60, it will likely get cut off, and you'll see a ... And then if you go below 40 characters, Google might consider it as not enough content, useful content for the user, so it won't show the tag altogether. So we test this quite regularly, but this might change tomorrow or next week if Google decides to change how it displays this. So this is how it looks now. And then for desktop results, the meta description character limit is between 140 and 156. So this looks like a lot, but basically what you can do is try to cater for both. So for mobile searches and desktop searches, try and keep your title tags up to 59 characters. And your meta descriptions, keep them to 156 or 120, whatever you prefer. Like if you've got more mobile searches, which is most people now, then you might want to cater to mobile character limits, which is 120. But if you've still got desktop ones, and going back to your audience and search intent, particularly for lead generator B2B sites, people might be using more desktop devices to search and make decisions on services and stuff rather than mobile. So you might want to come up with a happy medium and say, I'll keep my character limits up to 156 characters, but I'll include the most important info within 120 characters. That way, looking on mobile device, you see the most important info in 120 characters. Anything that's cut off is something you're not really going to miss. So you've already seen your USPs and keywords and brand mentions. So you kind of tick both boxes on that. So again, looking at how to meta optimize title and meta tags for rankings and click-through rate. So again, I pulled in those keywords that I chose as examples, and I've color coded kind of how we've mentioned them. So one of my colleagues, I won't put her on the spot, but she produced a really good content where she's included keywords quite cleverly. So you've got a top level keyword mentioned at the start of a title tag there. You can see that in the example in the search result for desktop. And then on mobile, you see that same information, and it's not cut off at all. Whereas the meta description, again, desktop is to the correct character count, but on mobile, it does get cut off. But this is cool because we've included the most important info we wanted to include in the first 120 characters. So we're quite happy with how this is optimized based on our personal decision on, prioritize desktop over mobile. We might change that later. We might rejig our stuff to go more mobile. This is kind of how we've optimized title and meta tags, and it's really straightforward. We've got a brand mention at the end, 2 keywords there. We've combined as many keywords as possible in that title tag as well, so it's super user friendly. So on to the next part, which is optimizing body content. So again, we've got our keyword list, and I'll show you that again in a sec. So what you want to do, so you've got your list of keywords. So you want to mention the primary keyword. That's the one with the highest search volume. That's super relevant on search intent. Mention that within the H1 heading tag just once. So one thing I forgot to mention is with the H1, H2, H3 heading tags, the H1 should only be used once because it's the most powerful in terms of indicating the topic, and so you don't want to dilute the use by using it several times. So you can use that H1 tag once, but H2 and H3 tags can be used several times because they're less important, and you would tend to use them as subheadings throughout the page anyway. So include the main keyword in the H1 tag, and then match the wording in your H1 tag to your title tag. So your keyword is mentioned in both areas to kind of tip Google off as to what topic you're talking about, two spaces. Try to mention the primary keyword in the first paragraph following your heading tag as well. So again, this is basically going through Google, reading your title, heading, and then if it straight away sees a rough mention or a bang on mention of the topic, it'll be further convinced of the relevancy of this page, that topic that the user is searching for. And then try to mention it throughout the following paragraphs as well, but in a really natural way, like I was saying. So talking about naturally optimizing content, there's no keyword density formula that you can use these days. This was kind of old hat now. This was used probably about 10 years ago, I want to say, when I just started SEO. So you would say you need to mention this keyword 3 times within 100 character words or something like that. So that don't exist anymore, but as kind of a rough guide, and it's mostly rely on your lot's kind of decision at the time, we kind of look at optimizing 1 to 2 individual keywords every 100 words. So those are individual keywords that don't sound the same, so you can't kind of combine them. They're really distinct, and so they need individual mentions. So that's roughly how we kind of space out keywords. But if you're talking about something like a back to school guide, which we're working on for a few clients, you can't help but not mention back to school throughout a post as well. So there are some keywords that pages that naturally call for repeating keywords constantly. So you need to decide this on a case by case basis, but you want at least 1 or 2 mentions throughout a whole document of a keyword. Mention secondary keywords within subheadings and the following paragraphs of those subheadings as possible. And this is an example of how we've kind of done that. So you've got color-coded kind of top-level keyword mentioned in the meta tags at the top there, and then you've got the H1 main keyword in the first para, and then the supporting keywords in the following paragraphs, and that's the rest of the page showing those examples there. So you've got the subheading with the secondary keyword, and then it mentioned throughout along with the primary keyword still being mentioned as well. So this way of optimization for us, for this specific client and industry, seems to be working really well. And these guidelines are broad. They're based on Google quality guidelines and methods that we've seen to work as well. But we're constantly checking algorithm updates and kind of what Google tells us and what the industry tells us of what works and what doesn't through data and case study and our own data. And we're always changing the way we're doing this as well. So we might have this same presentation like 6 months time, and this method might be slightly different. But based on the last 10 years of me working in SEO, this is broadly how it's kind of done, with the user in mind and thinking naturally in terms of content. Cool. So we looked at how to optimize content and heading tags. So the other things on landing pages that we look at optimizing where possible is internal links. So this is another example, again, from Anicca. And basically, when I was talking about the process of Google finding pages and indexing it and serving it to users, that process relies on internal links. So when it's discovering pages on your site, it's following internal links, be it in the main navigation or in the body text. So links are really important for discovery from Google's point of view, but also from a usability point of view as well. So in this example, I've got a page talking about SEO services, and then within that, we've got supporting pages on a specific SEO consultancy service and a SEO training service as well. So these are actually useful links to the user. So that's our first consideration. Is it useful to a user? Yes, then add a link. And then while you're adding it, optimize the text while putting keywords in there where possible. So Google could then see, oh, here's a link containing a keyword. This keyword must apply to the destination page. Let me give a little bit of ranking juice on this keyword to that destination page. And while you're at it, also you've got title tags on links, which are basically descriptive tags that allow you to add text in there to say, this is our SEO service offering. Yeah, in this case, our SEO consultancy offering. So whatever the case may be, you can add in keywords or a topical description in that as well. So that's why internal links are important, and kind of roughly how you can optimize them and include them. So always think of the user first. And then just going back to my point about passing on authority or link juice, this is kind of how that happens. So you've got kind of, you've got the homepage, which typically has the most authority. It's usually the most, in Google Analytics, it's the most visited page, obviously, landing page. And then authority can kind of go down from there in your linking structure. So you can then do internal navigation links going to like category or service pages. And then within that, you've got subcategory pages or product pages or post pages, whatever it might be. This is kind of how you can define a linking structure that maps out your website structure. And then this is kind of what Google will see, like, oh, homepage, categories, these are the pages after that, these are your blogs and FAQs and all that stuff. So think about internal linking in terms of like this kind of structure and breaking it out like this. So another bit of media on a landing page that you can look at is images. So in this example, we've got a blog post talking about broken link building, which my colleague Brad did, that performs really well. And essentially he's used an image in there from a tool that we used at the time called Ahrefs, which looks at backlinks and, you know, what relevant backlinks are pointing to your site. So within this example, he's basically, the image is super relevant. He's made sure that the image has a low file size, because we know page load speed is a ranking factor and big images take a while to load. So that's one of the first things he did when adding an image, resaving it to a low file size, which you can do in Adobe Photoshop or several online tools or plugins in content management systems. And then he looked at basically, is the dimension of the image correct? So, you know, you've got a rough dimension of a web page that developers work to. And then within our site, we've got one specifically. And then we'll say, okay, this image needs to be, you know, like 500 by 700 or something like that pixels. Anything bigger than that, it has to resize when the page loads based on someone's monitor size, and resize further on mobile. So consider image dimensions when you're adding images to your pages. And how they will look on mobile as well as desktop, and if they need to, you need to save a separate dimension for a mobile device or not, based on your content management system and how it serves images. So that's something a developer can help you with that. Images also allow you to add alt tags. So similar to title tags for links, you can add an alt tag to describe what's in the image. So these are mostly for screen readers, where visually impaired users will kind of have alt tags read out to them. In this case, again, thinking about the user first, add a super descriptive text in that, and then where possible, add in a keyword if it's super relevant and it looks natural, because Google will pick up on that and serve your images in its image results. So that's the other thing that's powerful about images. Like if they're good quality, decent resolution, low file size, super relevant to a topic, people will use those images in like their own landing pages and presentations and whatnot, and then you end up getting random links pointing to your site if they've done the right thing and link back to your image. Or you can do reverse image search, see who's using your images, particularly if you've got like graphs and things that are like based on unique data you've produced. Do a reverse image search, see who's using them, and then contact them, say, hey, do you mind doing a citation or link to my site saying, you know, we've used this resource from this site. So that's another way of getting links as well. That's an example of an alt tag. Oh, well, yeah, I'm going over time soon. Optimization. So now we've looked at how to optimize the different elements of a web page. So now I've got a few examples of how optimization can work in different scenarios and different types of pages. So starting with B2B, B2C service pages. this tends to be more straightforward because you tend to have more kind of real estate to work with and more content. So this is an example of our landing page where you've got 2 clear call to actions. You've got an optimized headline and body text straight away. And then you've got different sections that break out the different services or subtopics, with the top line topic being digital marketing. So we've basically added in keywords quite easily, call to actions, images, etc. Optimize all the images and that, so everything loads relatively quickly. And we can add maybe up to 5 keywords on a page like this. So that tends to be pretty straightforward. But then when you look at e-commerce pages, they can get a little bit tricky, because the main focus or action that needs to be done is basically seeing products or categories of products straight away above the fold when you land on the page. The user is looking at the visuals and making a decision on what product or category to click on. So you've only got a limited amount of time to make a good first impression, and you've got all these different CTAs and offer labels and things like that on products. So you don't want content clogging things up and that in terms of real estate. So what you can do in these examples, which is a category page, is limit the amount of content you add at the top of a page, if any. So in this example, Boots have added content, optimized content at the top, and they've got internal links to other pages with that keyword rich as well. So what they've done is they've added their SEO text at the top. But the other thing I didn't mention was word count, right? So word count depends really on how authoritative your domain is. So if you've got a low domain authority, let's say 50 out of 100 versus a competitor that has 70 out of 100, going back to my ranking signals table, you might need to tick more at the box of content rather than and backlinks to compete with these guys, right? Starting with content. So you need to serve more content to Google to say, hey, I'm still in the game as well. Here's more content describing the topic. Maybe you want to rank me above these guys that have more backlinks to their site. So in that case, you might need to add more text. In this case, you can add a little bit of text at the top as to not impede the user journey. And then you can add the rest of the bulky text right at the bottom of the page. And in terms of like guides on word count for successfully ranking a page, you can look at between 100 and 200 words for a e-commerce category page. But again, it depends case by case on like how many ranking signals boxes you're ticking, or whether you need more content or more backlinks. Here's another example of an e-commerce page from Sports Direct. Again, they've added a little bit of content at the top, and then they've got call to actions to the different topics or subtopics, brands. Again, they can afford to have a little bit of content because they've got a super high domain authority. I think they're looking at like 60 or 70 out of 100 domain authority versus competition. So they can afford to briefly mention keywords, and then Google will say, we already know you're a good resource. Oh, you've mentioned this keyword in a really brief way. Shed load of backlinks pointing to you from offer websites and whatnot, social media for Nike trainers. You're good for ranking that. So that's okay. So in that case, you can add probably 50 to 100 words in that example. If I go to the next example, we've got a different industry, slightly low domain authority website that's competing with Currys and all these other places, right, for TVs. What they've done is they've skipped adding content at the top because it's too kind of restrictive of the user experience. So they've added all this content at the bottom there, and they're being super competitive. So you can see the different keywords they're ranking in their subheadings and paragraphs and stuff, because they're really making an effort to rank above their competition. So in this case, they've recognized we've got a lower domain authority. We need to do more on the content side to compete more, and also backlinks, but that's a longer burn in terms of achieving that. We can do content now, so we'll add a shed load of more content to kind of say to Google, yeah, rank us above other guys. And is that the same example? Yeah, it is, but other way around. Yeah, so they had got a bit of text at the top there, and then the rest of their text is at the bottom. And again, yeah, they're just trying to combine the two methods and to kind of compete with the higher domain authority and higher ranking competition. Sorry, I correct myself. This is a new example. So someone has added text at the top there, but you can still see products above the fold. So you're not restricting user experience too much, although I would want even less text there. And then the second image is the bottom of the page where they've got additional text. So one of the methods you can do with e-commerce landing pages is basically, and other landing pages, add a read more button there at the bottom of a text snippet, which will then take a user to the bottom of the page that shows the rest of the text. So that'll cover off any user experience stuff where people actually want to read important info about a product range, while also dividing the blocks of text nicely out of the way. And again, talking about text, so if you need to add more text to compete with competition that have more backlinks pointing to them, high quality backlinks pointing, which I should say, you can use a method called like a view more, read more button, which basically uses a function that expands a text box to reveal the larger content block. So initially, you're not impeding the user experience, and you can see products quite easily. But if anyone did want to read a bit more content, they can click on that and see the additional text. But also in the background, Google will see that hidden text as well. It's not technically hidden, so it's not a spammy tactic, which might sound spammy. It is a legit tactic, and Google knows that the content is there, and why you've chosen to, let's say, hide it initially is basically for user experience. And then just quickly, product pages. So optimizing product pages is not something you would typically do manually, because you could get a website that has hundreds or thousands of products. And so you've got to automatically serve content to these pages. And the most important content at this stage of a user journey is product name or ID number, price, special offer, size, all that stuff. It's just basically a functionality kind of like information rather than optimized SEO content. So you don't have to worry too much about SEO content. But what big brands or websites with resource and development team tend to do is automate the process of adding keywords to their title and meta tags. And they typically do that by taking a top level keyword that is meant for a category page, and they make a longer tail version of that, let's say men's Nike trainers, and then they will add that on to title and meta tags on product pages. So you could say men's Air Force One Nike trainers. So that way, that's a user-friendly descriptive title tag on a type of Nike trainer that also includes a top-level keyword of men's Nike trainers. So you're technically optimizing a different keyword and doing it in an automatic kind of way. And you can achieve that by creating a database of product titles and descriptions where they'll be written by either your in-house team or the supplier. And then you kind of use a functionality to append your broken up keywords or brand name that you want to add to the end to that title and somewhere in the description, depending on how well it's written, to allow you to do that. So there are automatic ways that you can optimize product pages, but most of the ranking and SEO stuff is typically done at the step above, at a category page level and a blog page level. So you don't tend to have to worry about ranking individual product pages. That's just an example of the title tag and meta description I was talking about. Again, supporting content then, just coming to the end of this, supporting content, you've got news, blogs, case studies. This allows you to optimize a shared load of more keywords, and the slides are pretty self-explanatory, so I don't want to go over too much. So that's something to read up on after. And other things you can optimize are videos like YouTube, videos from Wistia, which you can host on your own website. And then, as I said, rich snippet position zero results, which I've added in the appendix. And alongside that, in the appendix, I've added in a section on how to monitor your work and your keywords and pages once you've optimized them. And this is just a list of tools you can go away with to help you through several stages of this slide deck.
Whoa, amazing. Exactly on time.
Yeah, although I didn't leave much time.
Thank you, sir. That was brilliant. I'm going to just send a couple of the offers out. If any of you've got any questions. So first of all, if you haven't already, please take advantage of the free access to the Academy site, which is the training site that we've got, where there's lots of free, most of our presentations are there. The only ones that aren't on there is the DMI course, which is the actual qualification. We've got a new course starting in October. We're going to be back in the office next month. And so our first DMI course is running in October. So if any of you are interested in taking part in that, it's a 12-day, 1 day a week course. So it's from, I think, the 10th of October all the way through to December. It's not the cheapest course because there's a qualification associated with it. But of course, you're going to be hearing directly from the professionals at Anicca, and all the theory, and you've got a chance to get the DMI and the CIM level 4 courses. There is some grants around at the moment for doing training, so you might be eligible for that as well. And then finally, just for what's happening next week, yeah, there's a couple of different things going on next week. The first one is I'm doing a very unusual course in that it's actually in conjunction with MediLink, and it's aimed for the sort of pharmaceutical and scientific sector, and that's on the 26th. I'm not sure if she's put the one for next Friday as well. Next Friday, Holly's going to do her first webinar, and she's doing that on affiliate marketing. So this is where other people do the marketing for you. It's particularly relevant if you've got an e-commerce website. So hopefully you can join us for that. And then I don't think there's any questions today. Obviously, if you think there's any other questions, please email Sukh. And there's lots of people saying thank you very much, which is great. We'll send the video around later on. It takes a couple of hours just to render, so you'll get that in your email later on. And then if anybody's else got any questions, I'm sure Sukh could be happy to stay around for a little bit longer. But we look forward to seeing you next Friday, or if you want to join us for this particular one with MediLink, that's on Wednesday. So it's a double one next week. But hopefully all of you found something useful today. And that's all from us. So we'll see you next week. I'll just stay online just a little bit longer, just in case there's any questions. Any last words from you, Sukh?
Oh, no. Have a good rest of the day. Drop me a line on email if you want to talk about anything specific or additional questions you don't have time to ask here. I wish I finished actually 5 minutes earlier, so in case you did have any questions, but it's fine. And yeah, visit my the big marker page because it's got the keyword research slides and some other SEO slides on there as well, and everyone else's obviously. So yeah,
you can also get all the old slides at this link here. So if you go to the Anicca site, it's right in the middle of the menu, webinars.
That one there, sorry.
But you will get this in your email later on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.